What are the real-life cheat codes that work almost every time? Story 1. When a project feels way too huge to kick off and kinda freaks me out, I'll set a timer for 5 minutes to dive into it before I bounce to something else. Just 5 minutes of getting ready, 5 minutes of digging for info, or 5 minutes of tidying up. It's way less daunting to tackle a massive job in little 5-minute chunks than to feel swamped by the whole thing at once. Plus, sometimes you hit the end of the 5 minutes and realize you've got a bit more energy than you thought. Story 2. The stuff folks say about others when they're not around always seems to come back to bite them. I figured this out, and even though I've never been into talking smack, I made it a point to say nice things about people when they're not there. I can't really tell if it's some kind of secret hack, but honestly, I'd feel pretty awesome if someone shared something sweet a coworker or friend said about me when I wasn't in the room. Story 3. I had this awesome young woman on my team. We teamed up on a bunch of projects, so we got pretty close, flaws and all. She was super talented, but sometimes she could be a total pain, you know? But honestly, everyone at work, from the big boss to the folks in the warehouse, totally adored her. One time, I asked her why she was so popular. She told me that whenever a convo wrapped up, no matter if it got a bit heated, she always made sure to say or do something nice about the person. That way, the last thing they thought of her was something good. Once I caught on to her little secret, I started watching for it in bigger meetings. And sure enough, she did it, and it was genuine. It reminded me of that quote by Maya Angelou. They may not remember what you say, but they sure will remember how you made them feel. Story 4. How to quickly vibe with someone and build a solid connection. 1. Hit them with a compliment about something they totally crush. Get into the details. 2. Ask for their tips on how you can nail that skill too, just like they do. 3. Really take their advice to heart and put it into action. 4. Check back in and tell them how awesome it was to use their tips and the results you got. 5. They'll be super into you, cheer you on, go out of their way to help, and even cut you some slack when you mess up. They might even joke about wanting to set you up with their kid. So save this for people you really want to connect with, because it's that legit. Honestly, there's no one out there who isn't affected by this approach when you're being real about it. Story 5. I had this boss who would always flip her phone over and literally turn away from her screen whenever I came to ask her something. It really made me feel like I mattered and that she was all in with her focus on me. I took that lesson to heart and decided to do the same in my own life and business. It's a total game changer. Now, I never hold my phone when someone asks me a question. This is just a lot. So your boss effectively gave you the world's most passive-aggressive, you're not worth my time vibe, and you're taking notes. I mean, turning your phone over is like the corporate equivalent of saying, I'm here but not really. Like, congrats on finding motivation in such a weird place, but I can't help but think there are better role models out there. Just, maybe don't follow the example of someone who clearly needs to work on their people skills. But hey, if it works for you, who am I to judge? Story 6. Yo, it's important to know how to ask for help. Usually we want to tackle everything on our own, but let's be real, that's not always doable. A lot of the time, we really need a hand from others, but we struggle to admit it or even ask. So take a step back, size up the situation, and if it feels like it's too much, don't hesitate to reach out for support. Story 7. Before you wrap up your work session, make sure you do 3 things. Stash a peeled orange on your desk, toss 1 sock in the freezer, and flip something random upside down. When you come back, you'll either totally remember where you left off or find yourself changing the oil on your lawnmower while attempting to fix the spring door in your microwave. It's a foolproof plan. Story 8. Be cool, be chill, be friendly. Then on those rare moments when you actually get mad, folks will really pay attention. When someone's always flipping out or being rude, we kinda zone them out. Their usual vibe is jerk. They're constantly shouting and swearing, so it just blends into the background, like that story of the boy who cried wolf. But when a sweet, quiet person starts raising their voice and letting some words fly, everyone pays attention. Take Deborah, for example. She's always so upbeat and nice to everyone. When she gets upset and tears up, people think, whoa, that's not right. And they immediately put aside what they're doing to help out. It's not just about yelling and swearing either. When the quiet guy who never says much finally speaks up, everyone tunes in. It catches you off guard. Story 9. I'm a lawyer, and every now and then I end up with cases in places where I'm not super familiar with the local rules. I've noticed that when I hit up the court staff with questions, they're usually pretty chill and ready to help. But if I mention that I'm a newbie lawyer just trying to get the hang of things so my boss doesn't flip out on me, well, like 90% of the time, those awesome folks will go above and beyond for me. Haha. This is honestly just a classic case of tell them you're new, get instant sympathy. People love to help out the underdog, especially in a serious place like a courtroom. It's like the legal equivalent of the kid in high school who says they forgot their lunch. Everyone suddenly feels super generous. I mean, it's kind of heartwarming that there's still some humanity left in the world of legal jargon and suits. But also, can we talk about how ridiculous it is that this is a solid strategy? Imagine being a first-year student and already pulling the "please don't let my boss destroy me" card. Like, who knew that vulnerability could have such a high success rate? I guess it just goes to show that sometimes honesty really does pay off. Who knew law could be this relatable? Story 10. Something I picked up back in my teenage years. So, when you're giving props to women you don't know too well, it's better to compliment something they can control, like their eye makeup choices or how they match their outfit. Even a cool logo works. Complimenting body parts can be a bit sketchy because you never know what insecurities they might have. Plus, it kind of feels like you're being a little creepy. Whenever I tell a girl her nails look awesome, it's like their whole face lights up. I love being that guy who noticed something she put effort into. Edit. Big thanks for the upvotes and the award. 3. Story 11. The payoff from just a little bit of time, like 2 sessions of 25 minutes a week, spent on strength training, is like a real-life hack for getting years of good vibes for your body and mind. Put in a few minutes, get back years, or suss a total hack. Story 12. I've somehow become the go-to trainer at every gig I've had. Whenever someone slips up on something I've shown them more than once, it's like, no worries, mistakes happen all the time. They don't stress about it. The next time we hit that point, it's like, hey, remember this is where I messed up before. Bam, they nail it. Lesson learned. So, you're basically the unofficial mess-up master of every job you've had. That's kind of a vibe, honestly. A legend in the making right there. Who knew that teaching people through their multiple failures would be your superpower? It's like reverse psychology meets workplace training. Honestly, I'm surprised you didn't get a trophy for this. Most patient trainer or something. Keep leveling up those teaching skills. You might just end up with a PhD in how not to mess up at life. Story 13. Yo, seriously, never be a jerk to a secretary or receptionist. Always be super chill with them. It doesn't matter if you're at a place you work or just visiting. They can totally help you out or make your life tough. Need to get through some boring office stuff? Guess who's got that on lock? Your papers can either zoom through or just sit there for days. Or even go MIA. Back in college, I had to get a paper signed by a bunch of professors. I knew some of them weren't exactly best buds and others were only around at weird times. So I asked the department secretary for some tips on who to hit up and when. Instead of just giving me the info, she was like, just leave it with me, come back this afternoon. That saved me a ton of time. She really didn't have to do that, but we were cool. And every professor was down to sign whatever she said. I also saw a guy totally mess up. I was at work doing interviews, and I walked into the CEO's office right as he was finishing up with a candidate. I never found out how that went down, because the CEO's secretary walked in and straight up told him, if you hire that dude who just left, I'm out. The CEO looked all confused, but she just held up her hand like, nope, not saying more. Then he dramatically ripped the guy's resume in half and tossed it in the trash. Secretary strolled back to her desk. I still don't know what that candidate did to tick her off, but he totally blew his chance before it even began. Story 14. When you bump into someone new and they drop their name, just throw it into a sentence right away. It's like, for some reason this helps your brain lock onto their name way better than if you just let it slide. Story 15. This is a big deal. You know how when you're strolling down a tight street and someone's walking toward you, and you end up doing that super awkward am I going left or right? Shuffle until you finally clear the path. So cringy, right? Well, I haven't had to deal with that nonsense in years. Instead of locking eyes with the person coming my way, I just casually glance over one of their shoulders, kinda signaling which side I'm gonna pass them on. And that simple little move works like a charm every single time. Story 16. For real, check out the instruction manuals for your stuff, like especially for cars and gadgets. Figure out what all the buttons do and give all the features a whirl. I seriously don't get why so many folks don't know how everything in their car works. As someone who's worked with satellites, trust me, you gotta know your knobs. Story 17. Whenever I'm waiting for my wife to finish up a call, wrap up her texts, or get herself ready, all I gotta do is fire up a video or a game and boom, she's ready to roll and wants some attention. It never fails. Story 18. When you're handling an upset customer, the top move is to really tune in, let them vent, take some notes, and then chat about their issues once they cool off. Trust me, they will. Most of the time, angry customers just want to feel listened to. I've seen folks go from yelling to just chilling and chatting in no time. Ah yes, the classic talk them down from the ledge strategy. It's like secret customer service magic. Just throw some empathy at them and watch the rage melt away, like butter on a hot pancake or whatever. Honestly, it's kind of impressive. Like, you could practically turn a raging bull into a friendly puppy with the right listening skills. People really just want to feel like they're not shouting into the void, huh? Reminds me of dealing with my roommates when they're hangry. Active listening is key, my friends. Story 19. When something gets under my skin, instead of just flipping out, I take a sec to think about why it bugs me. Then I try to find a silver lining and just let it go. That way, I don't let it bring me down. Story 20. Whenever I meet someone new, whether it's a buddy, a possible date, or a work connection, and I grab their number, I always toss some details into the notes, part of their contact info. I'll jot down stuff like their birthday, what they're into, and their favorite food or drinks. That way, the next time we hang out, I've got some cool convo starters and can order things at the restaurant that'll totally impress them since I remembered. People really dig when you notice the little stuff. Story 21. So, I think I totally stumbled upon a new travel hack. Trains. Hear me out. I can't stand flying. The whole getting to the airport, waiting in those TSA lines, cramped seats, and just the mad rush of it all drives me nuts. Right now, I'm chilling on an Amtrak. They've got full-on dining and even bedrooms you can book. I thought the cafe would just have some tiny snacks, but nope. They've got burgers, breakfast sandwiches, and a menu that's way bigger than what you'd find at most restaurants, all for pretty decent prices. The seats are super comfy, like first-class vibes on a plane, but way cheaper. And I'm usually all about saving money. Plus, they actually have chargers, which is a big win since some airlines I've flown with didn't even have those. The only bummer is it does take a bit longer to reach your destination, but honestly, it's such a chill ride that I kinda wish my trip was longer, and it's already a 5-hour journey. I might just give up on flying for good. Trains, huh? Honestly, the idea of a train ride sounds way more chill than airplane shenanigans. Like sitting in a comfy seat with a burger in hand while watching the scenery go by. That's a vibe. I mean, who needs TSA drama and overpriced snacks when you can just roll up to a train station like you own the place? Plus, with full-on dining, I can already tell that my productivity level would drop to 0 because I'd be too busy munching instead of doing literally anything else. Just saying, if they start serving fries, I'm basically sold. Story 22. So my dad once said, if you're gonna pull a fast one, and you know you're pulling a fast one, just go all out. So there was this one time I totally spaced on a paper due for my English class in college, like the night before it was due. I ended up writing a wild piece about archetypes and did a deep dive into the whole love and hate vibe between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul because I was binge-watching the Clone Wars series like crazy. Not only did I snag an A, but my professor even praised me for the originality and how it brought fresh ideas on anti-heroes and how rigid moral codes can sometimes miss the mark. My dad cracked up when he read it. Story 23. If you're ever at a store with a rewards program where you put in a phone number for coupons and discounts, when it asks you, just punch in your local area code, plus 867 to 5309, US only. Those codes like Welcome 20, Welcome 10, and Welcome 15 are usually solid for first-time online shoppers. You can also try Spring 20, Fall 20, Summer 20, Winter 20, or any twists on those. Story 24. When I'm out and about, I always try to not get in anyone's way, be chill and respectful, keep things moving in lines, and avoid sneezing or coughing without covering up, you know? The cool thing is, it looks like it cuts down on the number of annoying situations I run into. Story 25. I'm almost hitting 40, trying to make it as a pro writer, and I'm in the thick of sending out queries. I hired a development editor, basically someone who's paid to be real with me about what's not working in my story. No fluff. She told me she really liked it and that it's got a solid shot at getting published. I might not be as famous as Stephen King or Brandon Sanderson, but I know my way around writing. I got here by cranking out some rough drafts, diving into awesome books, and taking in all the feedback, even when people said my stuff wasn't great. I've been doing this for 30 years. Whatever you want to get good at, just keep at it. Everyone who's amazing at something started off being not so great. So stay consistent with your practice, even if you feel like you're struggling. Story 26. If you're looking for a reply from someone, especially in writing, like you don't want your email to just vanish, hit them up for some advice. Folks really dig giving advice, and they usually end up tackling whatever else you mentioned too. Plus, if they share some tips, you can totally ask for their thoughts or reviews after that. Once they're involved, people are way more likely to shower you with good vibes. Story 27. I discovered that being real with folks about how I feel is like having a secret hack. For instance, if I'm chatting with someone, I might say something like, "Hey, I'm sorry in advance if I'm a bit hyped up about this, and here's why." It really grabs people's attention when you just lay it all out there and explain your perspective. That's honestly some solid advice. Like, who needs a degree in psychology when you can just be real with people? It's like leveling up your social skills with the bare minimum effort. Just, "Hey, I'm kind of emotional today." And boom, everyone's suddenly all ears. Gotta respect the straightforward approach. Definitely a cheat code to make people listen instead of having them zone out while you talk about, I don't know, the price of avocados or something. But seriously, communication like that, it's the true MVP of social interactions. Story 28. It's pretty straightforward. Just treat others well, especially those who can lend you a hand. I see folks calling customer support, and right off the bat, they start hurling some not-so-cool words at the first person who answers. If I were that employee, you can bet I'd be giving the bare minimum service, just doing what I have to do to keep my job, and wouldn't go out of my way to help you out. So, here's the deal. Be polite and friendly, lay out what's going on, and ask the agent if they could help you sort it out. I promise you'll get a lot more done that way. Story 29. Whenever I'm feeling all stressed out, worn out, cranky, or just kinda meh for no reason, I chug a big glass of water. Then I go for another one. Out of nowhere, I feel way better. I guess sometimes our bodies don't really send clear signals when we're thirsty. You just gotta pay attention to the hints. Story 30. Don't be afraid to admit when you're clueless about something and show that you actually want to learn. People will totally appreciate your honesty and will be stoked to share what they know. How I figured this out. Picture this, a college lecture with like 250 peeps. The professor starts talking about Keynesianism. You guys know about Keynesianism, right? John Maynard Keynes? Is there anyone here who's totally lost? I'm the only one raising my hand. Awesome, good for you. They don't get it either. And guess what? I still remember what Keynesianism is, even after 30 years. Story 31. I'm just messing around with random area codes and then hitting up a random one at gas stations for those reward cards that knock off 5, 10, 15, or sometimes even 30 cents a gallon if I'm super lucky. For those who don't get it, that's that famous phone number from the song, and folks use it as a throwaway all the time, so it's basically good to go everywhere. I've been using it successfully for the past 2 years since I stumbled on it, and it's been awesome. I try to spread the word to everyone I can. Yeah, this is honestly peak gas station energy right here. I mean, who needs actual reward points when you can just channel your inner 90s pop culture and play a little phone number roulette? It's like a weird lottery for discount gas, and honestly, I respect the hustle. I can just imagine you standing there like, "Hi, yes, I too have a connection to the legendary Jenny, and now, please bless me with those sweet, sweet savings." But, like, 30 cents off? That's practically a miracle in this economy. Keep living your best life, I guess. Story 32. Just hit up my internet provider and told them I was ready to ditch my service. Got a real person on the line right away. They knocked off $25 a month without me having to say a word about anything else. The whole call took around 10 minutes. Kinda annoying that I had to call in the first place, but totally worth it to make that call. Story 33. If you're feeling a panic attack coming on, splash some super cold water on your wrists. I like to use that moment to focus on my breathing while leaning on the sink for support. If you're kinda unsure whether it's a panic attack, just give it a shot and see if it makes you feel better. Story 34. The yes vibe, or yes strategy. This is a classic sales move, totally reliable for getting someone on your side. You just gotta start by getting folks to agree with you on the little stuff and build from there. So, you might throw out some opinions you know they're cool with. Or you could ask for small favors you think they'll say yes to, like, "Can I snag a pen?" Then, you gradually lead them to say yes to the bigger stuff you really want from them, and it flips too. If someone's been saying no a lot lately, it makes them more likely to keep saying no. Story 35. Every day, think about how you can lend a hand to someone or brighten their day without them ever knowing. It helps you become a better person, makes the world a bit nicer, and gives me a little chuckle when it all comes together. Story 36. When you score a speeding ticket, hit up the court to ask for a new date instead of the one on the ticket. Cops usually set the same court date for all their tickets, and it's often on one of their days off. If you switch it up, there's a good chance the officer won't show up on your new date. Some other officers might try to hook you up with a lighter charge if you agree to plead guilty to a minor thing at the clerk's desk, so you don't have to face the judge and cover for the cop who's MIA. If you do end up in front of the judge, there's a chance they could just throw out the charge since the officer isn't there to back up their story. This is some next-level strategy right here. It's like playing chess with a cop who just showed up for a game of checkers. Just imagine their face when they realize you outsmarted them. Classic. But let's be real. Speeding tickets are basically a rite of passage at this point. You could always just slow down and avoid the whole thing, but where's the fun in that? Story 37. When you're in customer service, saying "thanks for your patience" instead of "sorry for the wait" totally shifts how customers act when they're fed up with waiting. Out of nowhere, they become all chill and patient, and the frustration just melts away. Story 38. One for the job. If you're having a tough time getting help with an issue from, like, tech support or IT, just act like you've cracked the code and jot down your solution in an email to them. Trust me, they'll feel the need to jump in and set you straight right away. You gotta put your ego aside a bit, but it's 100% worth it for what you get back. I've done this like 100 times at 5 or 6 different places. Story 39. You can pretty much go anywhere rocking a clipboard and a bright safety vest. Truth is, it's your self-assurance that gets you through the door, but that vest and clipboard give you a little boost to feel more confident and keep others from giving you a hard time. Story 40. If you want to avoid those awkward silences with someone, just throw some questions their way. Folks are really into chatting about themselves, and don't count on them to fire back with a ton of questions. Honestly, I kind of judge people a bit when I notice this kind of thing, in both good and not so great ways.